Hi everyone, my name's Greg and this is Bobby, and we're Team Reusabowl. So our mission is to create a waste-free world through circular economy solutions. So we're here to talk to you a little bit about our story, about ourselves, what we think about Kismet. We're going to play a little game with you all, which I'll describe later. And and then a little bit more about how we think we can all make our own fate and make sure those stars are going to align for ourselves a little bit more and not rely on the universe to do it for us. With that in mind, just a very quick run through of our story, about Reusabowl's story. So as I said, our mission is creating a waste-free world through circular economy solutions. At the moment, we're focused on one problem in particular, and that's the single-use packaging that most takeaway food comes in. So we think there's two big problems with this. The first one, obviously, hopefully, is that most single-use packaging ends up in landfill, where it does a lot of ongoing harm to the environment. But a second, actually, big problem as well is that most food that takeaway vendors are serving is not well served by single-use packaging. We think that it's amazing what hospitality do. As a millennial who can't cook, I am forever indebted to takeaway food vendors throughout Wellington and beyond. So I think it's a real shame when vendors feel they have to serve their food to people who want a quick meal, but they end up doing it in packaging that's ugly, that leaks, that doesn't keep the food warm, that people are going to tip out straight away into their own containers when they get home, and that just generally doesn't create a good experience for their customers. So we were really keen on solving that problem, and I'll let Bobby take it away and tell us a little bit more about how we did that.
So firstly, I'd just like to have a shout out to Sarah at the back taking photos. She's one of the original co-founders of Reusabowl. And Lloyd down here, who's also part of the Reusabowl team and helps in our tech and digital. I'm happy it's not just you two watching us today.
Our friends.
So we started kind of in late 2019 and then into early 2020, where we were finding kind of the right material. Sarah, myself, and Maureen just kind of battling away at nights and on weekends, trying to discover how we were going to launch this business. We spent that whole time finding the right material. It took about 9 months. To a year to find rice husk through some rapid testing and some very scientific methods of me dropping it from the side and lots of different situations like that, and seeing how long we could microwave it for. Don't worry, it's all legit now. It's all certified. So we found the first container, and then and it wasn't designed exactly to our specification for what we'd hoped. So we then sought design help and recreated what you see here today. So that's our kind of first. Very useful and as wide-ranging product as we'll create. And then in early 2021 we launched with, we piloted in 2020, in the late 2020 with 4 eateries that Tammy mentioned before, and then in 2021 we expanded it to 12. And then we launched the eatery network. So that was where people could actually go in and borrow a bowl for a deposit and bring it back to any one of the eateries. So that's what we still operate. So that's a very base level of what we do right now, and it kind of holds it together and keeps us relevant in everybody's for everyone. And then so lately, in late 2021, especially with the pandemic wreaking havoc over hospitality and hospitality suffering, we decided to actually make a bit of a tactical shift earlier than we thought we would into corporate offices. So now we sell bowls into corporate offices, and they have a fleet of bowls or a bowl library in their office for staff to take and use at hospitality. We knew that we should give hospitality a bit of a break and just let them be for a while, and offices are now our largest growing sector. So we've got 25 office partners now, and we've just signed up with PwC to launch in Wellington and Auckland shortly. So if any of your friends work at PwC, they'll have bowls in their offices soon. That's a really exciting part of where we're going. We're also simultaneously trialling a waste-free meal online ordering and delivery service for these offices. So we're linking the workplace staff with eateries so they can order food, and Greg and I right now will be running around dropping it off, but soon it will be expanding out to a wider range, and we'll have a whole service and system set up. So on the journey, always creating and always innovating on new ways to make it more convenient, because we see that as the real key to unlock reuse and reusable packaging in the future. So a little bit about me. So I started life in the built environment in my career, where I was a project manager for a commercial property developer. A few years into that, I was making great money, but a few years into that, I wasn't that stoked with what I was doing, and thought about what I really wanted to do, and went on a bit of an adventure over to Amsterdam, which I'll talk a little bit more about later, but that was the catalyst for me to change career. So I'd studied politics, philosophy and economics, and that kind of gave me a really broad brush. So then I came back and started working in sustainability as a sustainability consultant in Wellington. And then quickly that turned into what is now co-founding Reusabowl with Sarah, so I've got more on that later as well. So at Reusabowl, I'm one of the co-founders, director and CEO of Reusabowl, and so I mostly look after, Greg and I, although we share a lot of the responsibilities, a lot of the day-to-day, and we set it up like that, I mostly kind of, I mostly look after kind of the new business stuff, so any of the new business models, any of the new container designs, and some of the partnerships on that side. That's kind of where I would lead at the moment mostly, and it's just kind of naturally fallen in that way. Fun fact about me, I was struggling for this one before, but I did come third in the 2007 Wellington Croquet Champs. So I mostly signed up for that because I got free biscuits and juice, and my last that's exactly why I turned up to this. And the old ladies who worked who helped and coached me at the croquet at the Wellington Croquet Association up in Mount Victoria were lovely, and like I had just such a laugh with them. So and I came third. That was crazy. There's only 4 computers, but and then what Kismet means to me. So Kismet. I find Kismet interesting because in a way I really believe you create your own fate. So it's one of those times, I think Kismet is when you've got all the right conditions to create an occasion where you're like, yes, it turned out, and some of that's luck, but a lot of it's what you put into that and how you work to that. There is a lot of privilege involved in that as well, and how you arrive in certain situations, but I think it's all of those conditions combined create these magical Kismet moments. About me.
A little bit about me now. Yep, so again, I'm Greg. So before joining Reusabowl, I was a lawyer. So I spent 4 years at a large law firm as a banking and finance lawyer, and then kind of got over that, realised I didn't want to be a fancy partner, or in between that, you're working 14-hour days in a small pokey office building in London. So I thought I would move into the public sector instead. So I then spent 3 and a bit years as a lawyer in-house at the Treasury. So actually, I'm sure there's some lawyers around here, maybe. Perhaps not the most creative type, so maybe they're poking around here somewhere. But I loved being a lawyer. I loved a lot of things about the job. But I think maybe we can maybe talk about this a bit later. But I think the pandemic, I think for a lot of people, and myself included, was a really good opportunity to do some introspection, to think about what contribution we want to make, and what opportunities there might be. Seeing as it felt like a lot of doors were closing to a lot of people over the pandemic, so trying to think about, okay, well, where are the doors opening? Where's an opportunity we can look for something new, for something exciting? So I thought I would like to do something completely different from what my normal day job is right now, and joining a friend at a small sustainability-related business was probably tippity top of that list, and moving into the glamorous world of dealing reusable packaging for takeaway food was where I ended up. So as Bobby said, we kind of I'm a co-founder and director as well. Co-founder is a bit of a misnomer for me because I only joined 6 or 7 months ago, whereas Bobby and Sarah have been working on Reusabowl for a lot longer. But title is officially co-founder. But so I tend to look at more of the kind of customer journey aspect of Reusabowl's business. So that involves kind of overseeing some of our marketing activity, also doing a lot of sales, and also we're working really hard on getting our customer success up to scratch as well. So I'm starting to take care of a little bit more of that too. And obviously, doing deliveries and washing bowls and all that super glamorous entrepreneurial stuff as well. A fun fact about me, I struggle with this as well a little bit. So I am ambidextrous, so I can write equally well with left and right hand, play sports equally well, or actually, in my case, equally badly with on my left and right side. So yeah, no podium finishes in the croquet tournaments in Wellington for me. But tell you what, if you need someone to brush their teeth with both hands, super fun. What Kismet means to me, I think when we kind of were talking with Tammy and Dallas about this theme, I was like, I don't really believe in that sort of stuff. But actually, I've been doing a bit of reflecting over the last couple of days, and I think when I think about Kismet, I think about maybe looking back on the things that have happened to us and things that maybe seemed like they would be, they were disasters or they were setbacks, or I think, what I was talking about with the pandemic is a great example. Things that seem in themselves bad or strange or scary, actually, when you look back with enough time and hindsight, you can realize that actually that was one of those stars aligning for me or for us, and that if that hadn't happened, then I would never have ended up at this part of my journey. So I think that's quite a good philosophy to take for where we're at right now. If we're going through a bad time or struggling with aspects of our life, I try and remember that this could just be, it could be one stepping stone to that great thing, and it could be a lesson learned that will be really, really valuable in a new situation in the future. So I think, so that's kind of, that's what I think about, isn't it? I think for the next chunk of this discussion, we're going to kind of do a bit of a panel theme discussion, but you guys are going to ask us the questions. So we've come up with a little game that's super fun, and very Kismet-y, I think, we've got we had to do some frantic rearranging because people always hate sitting at the front of these things, so we had to push the bowls back. But some of you have bowls sitting under your seats, and those bowls have numbers on them. So you're welcome to pick them up now if you want, just to see what number they are. Don't open them, because that ruins the fun. Sorry if you don't have bowls, but obviously go and borrow one from a local eatery and you can enjoy that after this. So don't open them yet. So essentially, we're going to run a little random number generator up on the screen. So the bowls are numbered 1 to 15. If your number comes up, then open up your bowl, and then you can choose. So some of them will have prizes in them as well, and no question. So good for you. But if there is a question in there, then you can choose. You can either ask the pre-prepared question, the fate that you accept the fate that we've set for you, and obviously made our lives easier by knowing what we have going on. So you can do that and ask us that question, and we'll happily answer it. Have a bit of a kōrero about it. Otherwise, if you want to mix things up, you're very welcome to ask us a question that you have come up with yourselves. So cue frantic question thinking, I'm sure, and nerves for those of you who have bowls, but don't stress, it's all fun and games. Without further ado, I will hopefully seamlessly run technology solution to make this work. Okay, so are we ready? Maybe we should do a drum roll on the top of the bowls. Okay, first number is 10. Who's got bowl number 10? Well, hey, okay, sir. We've got a question, good.
What stars align for Greg to join Reusabowl?
Great, okay. Good question. So, good question. Haven't thought about that one at all. As I said, so I was a lawyer. I have to be honest, sustainability, not super on my radar. For a lot of my life, hasn't been an all-consuming passion of mine since day one or anything like that. But as I said, I was looking for a new career path, and it just happened to be that so Bobby and I are friends. We've been friends for a couple of years now. We were catching up one day, and he mentioned that Sarah, as we pointed out before, the lovely, one of the lovely original co-founders of Reusabowl, she is obviously very keen on photography, and she's fabulous at it. And she was really, really keen to. She was ready to kind of step step away and really embrace that passion and dream of hers. So that would mean that she wasn't going to be around to do the day-to-day work at Reusabowl anymore. So it just happened to be that I was looking for a new career path, and Bobby and I were catching up, and Sarah was looking to move on. So that kind of lined up, and like literally like hadn't thought about it at all. I knew about Reusabowl. Bobby had talked to me about all the great things happening there, but I had never considered working there really. But yeah, I woke up the next morning slightly hungover and thought, actually, you know what? This could be something that, like, it's kind of scary to think about, but this could be something that could be a great opportunity. So I messaged Bobby and say, hey, what do you think about me joining Reusabowl? And he said, yeah, let's have a chat about it. And yeah, and now here I am. So that's kind of how. I think that was. It could have been like 2 weeks after that, if Bobby and I had been catching up, that I probably would have either changed my mind about having a new job and just gone back to my lawyer life, or found something else. So yeah, I think that was very serendipitous timing.
Great. 2 weeks before that too, we've been brainstorming like, okay, who do we need to try and poach? Blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, I love Greg.
Cool. Okay. Drum roll. Next one. 9. Here we go. Number 9.
What would you call the founder myth?
Another one for Greg.
You got interested in you chipping in on this as well, but
You start.
yeah, I think we were talking about this the other day. I mean, actually, I rant about this a lot, and I think one of the annoying things about working in the entrepreneurial space is that you get confronted, like, in a good and bad way, I guess, but you get confronted a lot with this, like, this almost impression you get that people view founders of startups as special, or in the sense that like you have to be a particular kind of person and have a particular drive and passion or whatever to be an entrepreneur. And I think we see a lot of it in the media as well. That we kind of lift these people up as like these super special, amazing people, and aren't they geniuses to come up with this idea at the time? And sometimes it's like, oh shucks, but actually, it's I think it's actually really damaging, not only for the founders themselves, because it can be a real ego trip to kind of, on the one hand, it's like, yeah, we're here, we're talking to all of you because we're running this business, and isn't that nice? But it can put a lot of pressure on people to kind of live up to this like Zuckerberg level like insanity, or to be the next Elon Musk, when actually like a lot of the time you're doing something because you care about a particular issue, and you don't have to come out with it with this huge financial or business success. So you're in the moment and you're doing the best you can and you're figuring things out. And I think as well, actually, for people who might be thinking about starting something new, I think that idea that you have to be special, or that you have to be like the perfect person to be an entrepreneur and fit this like quite narrow, mainly white, mainly male model of what a like founder looks like, is actually it's ridiculous. So I think actually it's one of those situations where I think it can hold people back because they feel like they're not the right person for this situation. So yeah, I think that's not a good thing. In my mind.
Yeah.
Any of you extra views on that?
Yeah, I'd add, I think sometimes people become founders through circumstance of perfect conditions and other people around them. So no founder is, the only person in the organisation that's doing it to this great height. They're surrounded by people helping them the entire time, and those people are equally as important to the organisation. And also the conditions and timing and everything works out in a very Kismet-y way. That means that founders appear at all stages of their lives sometimes, and sometimes people might think, oh, I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too this and too that to do it at that time, but all times are perfect, I think, for that. And when all other conditions are right, it's just taking that step, and it doesn't make you special that you took that step or different or anything. I think it's just realising that moment or that time, or those people that are around you to help you do it, and just being kind of open to that opportunity.
Nice, good answer. And good reminder for me to shove the word Kismet into his meeting.
I don't think I'm using it right. But
Yeah, we're all having a go with it. Yeah, okay, drum roll.
kind of feels a bit weird.
5. Who's got 5? Nice.
Is believing in Kismet helpful or harmful for entrepreneurs?
Yeah, because of our definitions of Kismet, I think it would be helpful. How I kind of think about it in terms of creating those perfect conditions, I think it's really useful because that means you're thinking positively, thinking about the outcome that you desire, and then that opens, or in a way, I don't know if I really like the word manifesting, but I think that's just thinking about something in a particular way, and then you're going to start talking about it, and you're going to surround yourself with other people that are thinking about it. So then you're going to end up in a situation that you're discussing this thing more, and that's going to bring opportunities. So I think that in that way, if you think about Kismet, absolutely. But if you think about Kismet maybe in a way that, like, if I sit here and just wish, and it's going to happen, I think that that's very harmful. So yeah, it's how you define that maybe, and others may think that there's fate is determined to things, but I think we can control that ourselves in a way.
Can I ask you a quick follow-up question about that?
Absolutely.
You mentioned there, like, being surrounded by people who kind of help you achieve that vision that you're having, or that just kind of helps it manifest.
Yes.
Do you ever find yourself surrounded by so many people just like you that kind of tell you what you want to hear, and, like, how do you counterbalance that? Because that's something that I'm...
Yeah, absolutely. So that's kind of like that, what's that singing show in the States where they think they're amazing, and then they go sing and then they're not that good.
Every single singing.
Yeah. Every one of them, yeah. So I think, similar to that, I think getting advice from all types of people, even when it's uncomfortable. When you feel uncomfortable, you make the most strides. You actually widen your strides a lot more. So I think we have advisors that we talk to all the time who are cross-sector. They're in different areas of business. We seek that constantly on decisions we're making, and that helps us realign and put us back on the track, and kind of takes us from space and down to earth. Sometimes it's a good healthy dose of realization and kind of gives us a bit of a rational decision-making process. So, obviously your friends are going to think like you, your family may think like you as well, but as long as you seek advice or just speak your mind to others who don't surround yourself in your circles, then that's a really good way to I think, remove yourself from the echo chamber.
Cool.
Yeah.
Drum roll. 1. Number 1. Yeah, there are prizes in some of these, I swear.
No, not on this one. I wanted to ask another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to ask who some of the people were that you admire and what for. Because we spoke about, heroes being put up in the media before, but who are people that have inspired you and that you still admire? And what is it actually that you admire?
Oh, that's a really good question. Yeah. I guess I wouldn't. When I think about people I actually don't often think that much about other entrepreneurs necessarily, which maybe seems weird, partly because of that founder myth that I think when you see. It's that thing about never meet your heroes kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like when you see the media splashes around these people and the story, and I think we can sometimes be guilty of this as well. You kind of neatly package up the story of how we've got to where we are and everything's going so well and blah blah blah. When actually, when you meet people doing it, you realise that they're just normal people. They're trying really hard. Nobody knows everything. They're making mistakes like everybody else. So I think, on the one hand, I wouldn't say I particularly admire them, but I would say there are one of the best things experiences I've ever had working at Reusabowl is just meeting other people within the sustainability ecosystem in Wellington. So people like Michael Garvey, who runs Foodprint, I'd say Natalie, who I've actually just met, but who runs C6 Sunscreen, which I think is an amazing product as well, sunscreen that's safe for the oceans. I'd say your other Wellington entrepreneurs like Eric from Mevo and stuff like that, just people who are there. Some of them are like way further ahead than we are, some are at the stage that we're at, but everybody's just kind of gunning for it and trying hard and making mistakes and doubting themselves and struggling, and it's that feeling that we're all win or lose, or because some people are even our competitors sometimes, but like win or lose, it feels like we're in it for something that really matters, and that the result we're all striving for is kind of a better world. We're not just in it to kind of make heaps of money or something less glamorous than that. So I say it's people like that in the sustainability ecosystem locally that I really draw a lot of inspiration and courage from.
My answer would be similar, I think, in a way. Like, it's really unrealistic, and to follow international stars who promote this giant founder image that is really, I don't know, it seems untouchable, and it is a PR push, and I don't know those people, so it's really hard to find any connection. So yeah, the people that we talk to with every day, Greg mentioned a few, but then there's other ones also, and I find a lot of inspiration from people working in a not-for-profit or charity sector, who people like Matt Dagger, who runs Kibosh, and who have been running these organisations on like such a small amount of funding, and they somehow rally all these people together, and they're really strong on the mission, and they know exactly what to achieve, and they get it done. And it's just like, he spends nights and weekends working on this organisation, Kibosh in particular, and it just like it bears so much fruit for the organisation, and then you see it all over the place. And he doesn't try and put any PR out there or anything, but he's everywhere because he's just trying really hard. So I think that those people, really inspire me.
Cool. I think we'll probably take a long one of these answers than I expected, so we'll maybe run through a couple more, and then we might maybe just have a few final thoughts on how we make our impact. So if you do end up with prizes in your bowls, you can just open them after and enjoy them. But yeah, cool. Number 2.
How did Bobby and Sarah meet?
This is definitely Kismet. So Sarah, which is right there. So Sarah and I met at a sustainability and fashion event. So it was a panel discussion on sustainability and fashion. A friend of mine, Danny Pritchard, was talking about his organisation Duffel & Co. And I turned up, and someone Sarah and I both knew introduced us at the end of the talk and said, "Hey, Bobby, you're working in sustainability within the hospitality sector. Hey, Sarah, you've pitched a business and won Climathon, which is now what Reusabowl is. You should both talk." And so, and then he left and was like, "Hey, me." One of those great situations. So we stood there awkwardly for a minute going, "Hey," and then I was like, "Oh, so what are you working on?" And she described Reusabowl, and it's just that weird like tingling up your spine when somebody's talking about something that you've been thinking about too. And I pulled out my phone and showed her a photo of my notebook from a few months earlier in Amsterdam, and it said Reusabowl packaging system. So her and I were just clearly meant to meet there, and surrounded us. That's all those conditions were right, and we met, and it was just wild. We followed on by. She was actually in a stage with Marine where they were considering not even continuing it. So they thought, "I don't know if we'll do this," and then I basically said, "You must. If you don't, I will." And then we worked together for the following. A few months later, we entered an accelerator and went through all of that. And now, and since then, we've gone through a big journey. She's in Reusabowl now. She's working as a photographer. We're good friends still, and we actually live together in Lloyd and flat. So it's worked out pretty well.
Maybe at this point, maybe we'll just ask, does anybody else have just any other questions they wanted to ask us? Couple here. I think your hand was up first, sir.
I like the idea of getting Reusabowl into the office. Have you got like a nice easy sales pitch to share with management?
Yeah, hell yes, we do.
Should we do it right now? Yeah, we'll grab your email at the end. We've got a sales deck and everything to send through. Yeah, absolutely.
Fabulous. And I think you had a question as well.
Oh, just me?
Yeah.
I think it's really cool seeing millennials creating things, which is I always think is like But have you ever found, being like maybe the younger people, have you ever found that that's been a challenge, or like maybe you don't always get as much respect because of that, or has it not been an issue at all?
Great question. Yeah. I'd say, weirdly, like I wouldn't say it's been a respect thing, and I think it's really important to acknowledge that Bobby and I are both coming from a place of privilege, so like respect, I think being Pākehā and male, you kind of get some more of that by default, so I think it's really important to acknowledge that. Having said that, I wouldn't say we've encountered a lot of that. I would say if anything, people assume that you just have this like boundless energy and you're going to work 19-hour days, so like we get investors and advisors, sometimes we have to be like, actually, like I'm married, I have like family responsibilities, I have to go home and cook dinner tonight, like I'm not just here I'm not going to do that whole, insane entrepreneurial thing, So I think sometimes it's like, because you're young, because you're just starting out, that you've got this like, you've got so much drive that you'll like work yourself to death almost to do it, and so I think that can sometimes be like a little bit of pressure and expectation. Yeah, Bobby, thoughts?
Yeah. I think the illusion of youth.
Pointing at me.
I framed my own face.
Okay.
I framed my own face.
I'm just sensitive of that.
I've been doing a new skin routine, so I feel young. No, I think that at least that younger kind of age level, I guess that we're at, does provide this energy that people think we have, and we're at least in touch with some of the things that are happening. Well, I don't TikTok, but I know some. So, I know some of the movements, especially in hospitality, that are happening. So I can talk to that, and others may not be interacting with as a young professional in a city and have those touch points with new things going on. We're also in touch with other people starting things. So like we know the movements. Even talking with a larger organisation, we were talking with a large organisation last night, a really big one in Europe, and one of the key values they said, they were like, you can provide us with the energy we need to make a difference in our organisation. So things like that, even just the energy and the motivation we have to really make a change in what we're doing, I think inspires others who might be older or even younger at that time. I will make a note about Vivita, which is an organisation that provide innovation workshops for young people. So we mentor some really young kids sometimes around solving problems. So they come to us and we'll give them a problem that Reusabowl has, and they'll design it for us, and we kind of mentor them over a couple of days. So that's been the kind of cross-sector of ages, and being a bit younger, it enables us to kind of be able to communicate with those people a little bit easier.
Hello, kids.
Yeah. Is this how you TikTok?
Yeah. Sorry, we're probably running.
I think we're at time.
Oh, we're at time. Cool. Okay.
Thank you so much for being here.